All right, y'all, I got a quick one for you. We're going to go do our whole ship read through here next week. Probably we'll bring out the spreadsheet. We'll cover all the progress that they're making on ships, but there are a couple ships that they talked about that I wanted to do something quicker on. We got a busy week, so I won't be able to get to this till next week. And I wanted to talk about 3 in particular from the August monthly report for Star Citizen. First is the Anvil Paladin, which is now in the Laud 0 stage. This is moving ahead at a pace that wasn't really set, I think, until last month. It was a ship I thought might make it into Invictus at the beginning of the year. That was quickly dispelled when they stopped really updating it that much in like March-ish time. But this, reaching Laud 0 in August, I think this could be an IAE, a possibility of IAE. It's past its gray box review. The exterior is now caught up to the interior, and they're refining the two. Laud 0 means next up they got to do like the lighting, they got to do the damage passes, audio stuff, weapon balancing, last little bits. In 3 months, I could see that happening. Maybe this is the December ship, but it could also be IAE. If you haven't heard of it, it is a gunship. It is a beautiful gunship. Honestly, looks kind of out of Halo. Then again, I think everything looks like it's out of Halo. It's got 2 decks, room for multiple people, a lot of guns on it. That's really what gets it. Is this is a gunship. This is like if you want to go and do yellow level bound mercenary missions, even orange level mercenary missions on your own with a group of 4, 1 pilot, 3 gunners, plenty of components to keep you safe, a pretty solid look to keep you looking pretty, and a decent size so you can walk around on the inside. I think this is going to be a fantastic mission runner for those small groups of combat oriented people, but there is no cargo storage, so when it comes to running FPS stuff, you might not have as much fun. You're not going to be able to do a lot of looting. But again, this is a more combat-focused ship that might not be really what you're looking for. I am personally really excited to get into this and just mess up some ships with a couple of friends. But who knows when it's coming out? I think it might be December. And I think that's what this monthly report is telling us. The Loner is currently the Redeemer, which is the ship this is replacing, specifically so the Redeemer can go and be more of what it was supposed to be. But honestly, it makes it easy for them to get another ship in there to sell. The next ship I want to touch on is more of a kind of just reality setting. And I think we've all determined at this point for ourselves that the Ironclad is not coming out this year. I still see people thinking about it. Poor ship causes some hysterisy. It says here, the Drake Ironclad and Ironclad Assault progressed towards their white box reviews, with the team finalizing the asset kit that will be used across this and other Drake ships. Good that they're finalizing that asset kit. That's going to be good for a little Drake Kraken they mentioned down here. But honestly, guys, if the Paladin is hitting Laud 0 as a small ship, okay, the Paladin is like 30 meters long, 53 meters long. The Ironclad is massive. It's actually huge. It's a little bigger than your average ship, not really something that you're going to be just passing through the system. It's 120 meters in length. It's got a custom interior, 52 meters wide, 20 meters high. This thing ain't getting from white box to finished this year. This is going to be, at the speed that it took for this to get through white box, I'm betting this is a Drake Defense Con ship. This is probably going to come out in May of next year. Mark it down. But we should all be pretty aware that this ain't happening this year. I'll let you see a little bit of sizzle on it though, because it's looking good, man. This is a good
cargo bay at the front of it, which has both a front ramp for loading and unloading cargo and small vehicles on the ground, as well as a retractable roof for doing that in space with EVA as well.
Little tight entrances to cargo ships doesn't necessarily lend itself to when you're out in deep space and you're trying to quickly move some cargo from one person's ship into your ship. Really, you want as much kind of access to be able to do that as you possibly can. So by having this kind of much larger opening on top of the ship, it allows us to kind of bring cargo in much easier.
So its role being a sort of armoured freighter comes from 2 distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armoured roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a Hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect it with the Ironclad.
It's also more heavily armoured than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more security to your kind of precious cargo.
The other thing, I'm just going to interject here. The other thing that separates this from other ships, but also is kind of like the real key notability that shows it's not coming is the command module feature, which we saw added to the progress tracker. Now, that does mean that it's being worked on, which is good news for the Ironclad, but it also shows work going into like December, and we know that's not the end of the work going into it. So it's fair to say that with this feature not coming anytime soon, the ship won't be either.
If you want to save yourself, you can kind of jettison your cargo and try and get out of dodge and kind of get out to safety. And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the...
So yeah, Ironclad, not happening this year. This basically confirms it, guys. It's not a 2025 ship. Finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about here was the Hull B. The Misk Hull B. It just came out of freaking nowhere. Got approved for its updated concept. For those who don't know, the Hull B is what sits in, believe it or not, the Hull A and the Hull C. Yeah, wild. It carries about 384 SCU, which is actually a lot for a single person ship. And it fits into an interesting SCU range. Not many ships actually carry stuff like that. I think the Ironclad 1500, if you want to look at something that carries maybe, I don't know, around that same amount, we can check out what the Caterpillar carries. I'm sure plenty of you know that right off the back of your hand, but not a Drake aficionado. 576 SCU. So this thing could kind of compete in the same area as the Caterpillar. It says it sits roughly between the constellation Taurus and the Caterpillar itself, the Taurus weighing or carrying 174. So yeah, pretty accurate. 1 to 2 person ship, carries cargo on its exterior, so it is in danger of being more easily robbed and stolen, but it's easier to load and unload. And generally, it was concepted around the same time as the Hull C. It sits on our backlog of ships all the way back here, where this came in after the Hull C, it looks like. Hull C was introduced in 2013, this was introduced in 2015. So this is another of the 3 ships not around from 2015 being implemented into the game. And between this and the Ironclad coming in, I really, really hope we see some further progress with commodities, with cargo hauling, with the economy, to get this stuff to be more valuable, more interesting, like just more reasonable outside of just hauling stuff to haul stuff, you know? Anyways, that was really what I wanted to touch on. Like I said, we're going to do the whole ship thing next week. I will make sure to whip out the spreadsheet and we'll talk about where everything is, but there were a few here that I really wanted to touch on. I think these are a couple big deal updates in terms of definitive news on ships. Honorable mention goes to the RSI Aurora and Aegis Hammerhead getting updates to actual current standards, but we'll talk about that on the further section. I just want to give you that quick update. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see y'all in the next one.